just a couple seconds. John Buck, Long Island Lutheran High School head coach, coach of Kiyan Anthony, is live on the line, ready for us. John, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
We're doing excellent. So let's start off hot here. Kiyan Anthony, people in Syracuse, we're all so excited to have him here after basketball has not been great. So there's a lot of pressure on Kiyan. But I want to start with this. What does he bring to the team?
Kiyan has a great presence as a person. When we started our year, we had a lot of big plans for him being a key member of this team, and he actually had an injury during our first game. And while he was out, not only did we miss his skill and his scoring, but we missed his presence. He's a really intelligent, kind of like charismatic person. And so without him on the floor, we kind of missed a lot of that energy that he brought. So obviously he's super skilled. He's, got just a natural touch, finding ways to score the ball. He's more athletic than a lot of people maybe give him credit for in terms of his just ability to move smoothly and find little ways to be where the ball is going. But his presence, just his, the way he is as a person, is something that really is something I enjoy about coaching him.
Hey, John, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today. You mentioned a lot about his personality and what he can bring. On the court, obviously, we know what he can bring, but off the court, what's his personality like? What does he bring to the locker room? And any stories from maybe this season earlier on, Kiyan, that you could share with us about his personality off the floor?
Yeah, he's witty. Sometimes my mind's moving him 1,000 miles an hour, and I'm kind of making jokes that'll go over a lot of people's heads, but I'll take a look, and he's kind of smiling, and he's getting it. He's a great teammate. He's well-liked by his teammates. He's someone that people like to be around. He roots for other people's success. When he was hurt, he was really engaged in supporting his teammates and cheering us on while he was out. So he's just, a positive person. He's obviously knows that a lot of eyes are on him, but he's humble, and he's not kind of afraid of that attention, but it doesn't get to his head in terms of him thinking, he's better than other people, or thinking that he doesn't have to work hard. He's really just a down-to-earth person.
Hey, Coach, Dan here. Thanks so much for taking the time. We're talking a lot about Kiyan and his journey to Syracuse coming next year, and obviously there's so much pressure around here, especially, the way things have been for Syracuse basketball, now bringing in the son of a Syracuse basketball legend. I'll put it to you straight up. Do you think he can fill those shoes?
He's going to fill the shoes that Kiyan Anthony is meant to fill. Basketball is different in college, even 5 years ago, let alone when his father and I are the same age. I was actually a walk-on at Wake Forest University when I was a freshman the same year Carmelo was when he was at Syracuse. We have a mutual friend, Chris Paul, that kind of was a cool connection before Kiyan started playing with me. And so I think back to the time when Carmelo was a freshman and what college basketball was like then. I would say it's tremendously different now. Coaches have a much harder job in terms of building program and cohesiveness and culture. And I would say college basketball has gotten so much older with the transfer portal. And, I think Kiyan is going to add tremendous value to the Syracuse program. He's a tremendous player. He's really, really, talented. Our team is undefeated with him in the lineup. Early in the season without him, we faced some tough teams and we took a couple losses. So he's really been a key part of our team in bringing us back to, I think we'll probably be right around the top 5 or 6 national in this week's poll. And I think he's going to really elevate the Syracuse program. The timelines, the, rates of production, I don't want to put constraints or expectations around that. Because, again, college basketball is a unique and special game, especially compared to 20 years ago. But trust me, Syracuse should be very happy that he's coming there. And I would just say, like every, player, take it day by day. Let him continue to grow. He's still 17 years old. He's continuing to grow, get stronger, learn, little nuances. So, he's going to be a big impact. Just take it day by day.
So the jump from obviously high school to college is huge. How will he handle that transition?
With the support of tremendous people. His father is an incredible resource in terms of knowing what it takes to be great. And, his dad has put him, in the hands of people that have really, I think, tried to, push him, hold him accountable, help him continue to grow. And so he's going to handle that, with the support of the Syracuse coaching staff, with, his family support, with our continued support here at Lehigh. Obviously, we won't be anywhere near his day-to-day with him, but, we're going to be cheering him on. He's got a family here. And, I think just knowing that he just needs to keep putting in daily drops, get 1% better every day. As I said, you can't, inject 5 years of development into a 17-year-old overnight. But, just staying in the weight room, staying, watching film, staying in the gym. He loves to get better. He loves that process. And so he's just going to develop day by day.
Kind of bouncing off of that, I mean, where do you draw the line right now with Kiyan in high school? His dad is such a big resource, like you said. How do you draw that line where you say, hey, you have your dad as Carmelo Anthony, but I'm your coach. I was a walk-on at Wake Forest.
It's really interesting. It was something I kind of wondered what it would look like, when Kiyan came here. And I couldn't have asked for more. Carmelo, I know, sees the game at an extremely high level. Obviously, Lehigh, we've been really successful here in the past couple of years. I think, we've proven that we do things really, really well. But I'm sure there's different things like any parent you watch and you see, and you might agree or disagree or want, differently. But Carmelo's been nothing but supportive. He's tried to, understand how he could echo our messages to Kiyan. He's been great to work with. Honestly, again, couldn't have asked for more, and I'm really appreciative of his understanding of, the game at such an elite level, but his trust and respect of, what we do and how we've been working with Kiyan. I think that partnership has led to a lot of growth for him, and I'm really, thankful for it.
Talking with John Buck, head coach of Long Island Lutheran High School, head coach of Kiyan Anthony. Coach, you've coached a lot of talent, and you don't even have to go far back. You coached VJ Edgecombe last year, now at Baylor, averaging 15, 5, and 3, having an incredible season. And now you have Kiyan, obviously coming to Syracuse next year. How do those guys who are, going to play college basketball, who are NBA, potential athletes, how do those guys compare just as athletes at your high school program?
Yeah, each one's unique. It's interesting. We have, Ryan Dunn, who's now on the Phoenix Suns and just made the rookie game of All-Star Weekend, was also a player here that, was a much later bloomer. And so each one's kind of on their own unique journey. VJ is obviously a tremendously gifted and explosive athlete from the day he got here. Kiyan has grown in his strength and his size kind of really steadily since his sophomore year. And I would say, people see athleticism in different ways. Obviously, a highlight reel, top 10 Sports Center dunk is something that VJ is very familiar with, and just the power that he brings to the game. I think, Kiyan is really smooth and able to kind of slither, navigate, find spaces in defense that other people don't see or can't kind of attack. He, has really good touch on the ball. He's, able to, stop on a dime and jump up and release his shot. So his athleticism is unique to him. And I will say that he finds ways to get it done on anyone. Doesn't matter if it's, the biggest, strongest team in the country. He'll find ways to use that kind of against them and counter it and get to his spots. He's really smart at kind of, again, getting to his spots and using, his IQ to pair with his, 6'5" going on 6'6" frame and shooting touch.
So, of course, you mentioned that you guys are undefeated with him in the lineup. But let's say after a day of practice where things aren't going great, or after a game where he's not satisfied with his performance, how does he bounce back from that to get even better?
Yeah, he's got a really good perspective of, not getting too high or low. with young players, sometimes their career time span is just a shorter window, so they can feel like a bad game is the end of the world, or after a good game they're untouchable. Whether it be I think a lot of credit goes to not just Carmelo, but also his mom, and just Lala raising him to just kind of take it day by day, stay humble, stay hardworking. They've really done a good job of helping him understand to be measured, and just learn from every opportunity, and learn from the good, the bad, and just keep pushing forward. So I would say he's mature in that sense.
I know, Coach, that the world of college basketball is rapidly changing with NIL and guys hitting the transfer portal very often. But the way it stands right now, how do you think Kiyan Anthony meshes with the current Syracuse squad?
It's interesting because it's like I haven't done too much research, honestly. I know, there was it just each year, there's just so much changeover. So it's almost like, how much do I study? Because you don't know what next year will totally be like, right? And so, I do know that he and, Sadiq White, the other freshman, commit that plays in our league, that's at IMG right now. They've, conversed, and I can see their games meshing really well. Sadiq being, really athletic, high energy, high efficiency forward, to pair along with Kai, and I can see that being a great tandem. And Kai's the type of player that can work well with other good players. On our team right now, we have, Caden Mingo going to Penn State. We have Nigel James going to Marquette. We have, big man Nico Onyekure going to Florida State. We have Dylan Mingo, one of the top 15 juniors in the country. And so he's not going to be unused to playing with high-level guys trying to fight and find ways to win. And so, he's just a guy. He's a basketball player. I think he'll mesh with other good players really well.
That's a lot of talent on a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kidding.
That is a lot of talent. And obviously, Kiyan in the middle of that. And, I want to go back because we talked about pressure a little bit earlier. And Syracuse is a program that is desperately trying to get back to what it once was. A lot of the fans are expecting Kiyan to, sort of be the one to bring Cuse back to, whenever Carmelo was here. Just where have you kind of seen Kiyan respond to pressure, in high school, in life in general? How have you seen him, respond to adversity?
Yeah, I would say, in my time with him, when he came here, he was, a sophomore, playing with a lot like juniors and seniors on that roster. And so he had to respond to the adversity of just the physicality of practice that year. Then, he comes in, behind, in a sense, he played alongside him a lot of times, but, played with a VJ Edgecombe, a top 10 type draft pick. And, Kiyan, was really our sixth man as a junior. Some people might see that, as kind of like a unique opportunity to learn and push through some adversity. And then this year, as a senior, you have high expectations. In your first game, you go down. And, I was texting with him that night. He said, "Coach, I'm going to get back as soon as I can." Like right then and there, he was just trying to be positive. And again, while he was out, he was encouraging his teammates. He was, staying as uplifted as he could. And a lot of people would kind of go down in the tank about missing parts of their senior year. But he stayed, really measured and, excited, and worked hard at his rehab to get back for us. A lot of kids might, just say, "You know what, I'm committed. I'm just going to kind of relax right now." But he wanted to fight, get back on the court, help us win, and, just play the game he loves. Kiyan loves to play basketball. So, I would say he's just, again, been raised really well, understands how to push through, tough times. And, I think he'll do just fine, because we know no college athlete, goes through a perfectly smooth transition or journey.
We're talking to John Buck, head coach of the Long Island Lutheran high school team, coach of Kiyan Anthony. John, question for you here. On Kiyan's transition to Syracuse, or let's say he's here right now, what would be the biggest challenge for him?
I think just with anyone, I would say, two levels, and I wouldn't say they're huge challenges, but just things that, any high school senior to college freshman, just a new environment, right? You learn just your new rhythms. Okay, where am I going to eat? Where am I, how's my my bed? How's my roommates, the people I'm around? Where do I go, to get treatment? How much time do I have to allot? There's just adjustments to new rhythms and routines, which I'm sure he'll pick up on pretty quickly. And then obviously, even though, we're playing the most competitive schedule that you can in high school basketball, I think this is our most competitive schedule that we've ever put together. Inevitably, playing against 18-year-olds is not playing against 22-year-olds. Or beyond, right? And so, there will take some adjustment of time in just navigating that experience, that maturity, that physicality. But again, he's played really well in some of those most physical and high-level games on the schedule. So, just again, I would say fans just understand what it would be like for any of you coming as a 17-year-old going on 18 and then seeing, 22s, 23s. It'll take a little bit, but it won't take forever because he's really smart. He knows how to adjust, and I think he'll get there quicker than it will, be later.
Well, to answer your question, if it was me coming here, it would be a disaster. It would be a disaster.
Well, I want to wrap us up here,
Yeah.
Coach, with one more question, a little bit more of a fun one. Me and Jacob are both Long Island guys, and we know how beautiful Long Island is, but how do you think that Kiyan and the rest of the team, how do you think they really balance all the travel that would come with playing at one of the top basketball schools in the country?
Yeah, he's getting used to it this year. The travel we do as part of the Nike UIBL Scholastic League and other non-league games it's aggressive. We just got back last weekend from, a trip where we went to Western Maryland and played, almost on the border of Virginia Friday night. Drove the next morning over to, the Baltimore area, played Paul VI, one of the better teams in the area in the country on Saturday, traveled back up. Now we're heading down on Thursday to play in Richmond, Virginia on a great game on Friday night. So, the amount of travel I don't think is going to be a shock. It is work. It is work to find try to find your rest, take care of your body, stretch, hydrate, eat right. It's a process to make sure you're able to, travel around and navigate all of that. But I think he's, getting used to it. He's been used to it for the last couple of years. And, it definitely is another reason to, I would just say, two things can be true at once. I think fan bases can have high expectations and demand excellence, and then also have some level of empathy for just the challenges of what coaches and players are navigating right now. And I think in this world where we struggle sometimes to see multiple perspectives, I think those two things can be true at once. I think Syracuse can demand excellence of its program, and then also kind of try to have, that level of balance and knowing that these guys are pushing and fighting through a lot. And I think the future is bright for the Orange.
Future is definitely bright. Thank you so much, Coach John Buck of Long Island Lutheran High School basketball, head coach of Kiyan Anthony. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, this was great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. There goes John Buck. Thank you for joining us. When we come back, we'll have just a few more moments with you, and we're going to talk about one of the moves that might have shut down the entire sports world up next this afternoon.